This week, we'll discuss the nervous system. We'll talk about some basic principles of the neuronal activities, the sensory function first, and then motor function, and finally, the autonomic nervous system. Here are the learning objectives of this chapter. After completion of the nervous system, students should be able to describe the somatic sensation and the transmission pathways, explain the main spinal reflexes, compare motor functions of the spinal cord, the brainstem, cerebellum, and the basal ganglia, predict clinical presentations in the spinal cord transection, and compares the functions of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, and predict the symptoms and the signs caused by abnormalities of the autonomic nervous system. Let's start off with the organization of the nervous system. It is a highly integrated system. For convenience, the nervous system is primarily organized into two parts: the central nervous system, CNS, and peripheral nervous system, PNS. The CNS includes the brain and the spinal cord. It is formed by neurons and supporting cells, called neuroglia. The CNS is the integrating and control center of the nervous system. It interprets sensory impulses and dictates motor outputs based on reflexes, current conditions, and past experience. The PNS is the part of the nervous system outside the CNS. PNS consists mainly of the nerves, bundles of axons arising from the spinal cord and the brain. Spinal nerves carry impulses to and from the spinal cord, and cranial nerves carry impulses to and from the brain. These peripheral nerves connect all parts of the body to the CNS. Peripheral nervous system has two divisions: the sensory and motor divisions. The sensory or afferent division brings information to the CNS. This sensory division keeps the CNS constantly informed of everything taking place both inside and outside the body. The motor or afferent component carries information from the CNS to the peripheral effector organs, resulting in contractions of skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles, or secretion by endocrine and exocrine glands. The motor division also has two parts. The somatic motor system is composed of somatic motor nerve fibers that conduct impulses from the CNS, the skeletal muscles. It is often known as the voluntary nervous system because we can consciously control our skeletal muscles. It controls body movements. Then, what is the autonomic nervous system, the ANS? Autonomic means involuntary act or control. Autonomic nervous system regulates the activity of smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, and glands. It controls visual functions. The ANS has two functional subdivisions: the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. These two components typically work in opposition to each other. Whenever one stimulates, the other inhibits. The nervous system is one of the regulating systems. The other one is the endocrine system, and we will discuss in Chapter 11 of this course. The nervous system has various functions. It detects changes and initiates appropriate responses to changes, and organizes the information for immediate use and stores it for future use. The nervous system obtains information from the external or internal environment and does whatever is necessary to maintain homeostasis. Some of the activities are consciously controlled, but a lot happen without our awareness. The structural and the functional unit of the nervous system is neuron or nerve cell. There are billions of neurons in the body. Neurons are typically large, highly specialized cells that conduct nerve impulses from one part of the body to the other. A typical neuron has a cell body and many cell processes called dendrites and axons. A neuron can have thousands of dendrites. These structures receive information. And very often, a neuron has only one single axon, which takes information away from the cell body of the neuron. What we call the nerves are the axons and the dendrites. The operation of the nervous system depends on the flow of signals through chains of neurons. The neurons are functionally connected by synapses. A synapse is a junction that mediates information transfer from one neuron to the next, or from a neuron to an effector cell. The neuron conducting impulses toward the synapse is the presynaptic neuron, and the neuron transmitting the electrical signal away from the synapse is the postsynaptic neuron. Synaptic transmission depends on the release of signaling chemicals from nerve terminals. These substances are called neurotransmitters. They act as mediators for synaptic transmission of nerve impulses. When the impulse reaches the axon terminals, the neurotransmitters are released into the extracellular space. Some neurotransmitters are amino acids, such as GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, glycine, and glutamine. Some neurotransmitters are amines. Examples include epinephrine or adrenaline, norepinephrine, non-adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, and histamine. Acetylcholine, ACH, is another type of neurotransmitter. It is formed from choline and acetyl coenzyme. The neurotransmitters can either excite or inhibit neurons or effector cells, with which the axons are in close contact. Thus, we have so-called excitatory neurotransmitters and inhibitory neurotransmitters. Each neuron receives signals from and sends signals to another neuron. So it talks to many different neurons at the same time. On the basis of function, nerve cells are classified into two types: motor or afferent neurons and sensory or afferent neurons. Motor neurons bring motor impulses from the CNS to peripheral effectors, like skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, smooth muscles of blood vessels, etc. Sensory neurons carry sensory information from the periphery to the CNS. The transmission of nerve impulses will be discussed in our next 2 lectures. In addition to neurons, numerous supporting cells are present in the nervous system. These are non-excitable cells. They do not transmit impulses. These cells are called neuroglia or glia cells. For detailed description of the neuroglia, please read the supplementary materials provided for you. In summary, the nervous system can be divided into CNS and PNS. CNS includes brain and spinal cord. PNS has 2 divisions, sensory division and motor divisions. Sensory nervous system detects changes in the internal and external environment and sends information back to the CNS. Motor nervous system has 2 subdivisions. Somatic motor nerves control voluntary movements of the body, and autonomic nervous system controls the visual functions. Next time, we'll talk about impulse transmission along the nerves. Thank you.